We now know that the J. Garrick we knew was a time remnant of Hunter Zolomon. So Hunter tells us that he went back in time and met another version of himself, and then he got his time remnant to agree to let him murder him. I want to discuss exactly what a time remnant is. Now, the actual full term is a timeline remnant, and we really only have one example of this on the show before, and this is of course with Eobard Thawne, aka the Reverse Flash. So let's take a step back. Eddie Thawne was the ancestor of Eobard Thawne and killed himself in order to save Barry and Team Flash. However, Eobard Thawne then shows up again in episode 11. So Harrison Wells from Earth 2 explains the concept of a time remnant in episode 11, in that a version of Eobard was traveling in the Speed Force, which protected him kind of like a bomb shelter, keeping him alive and his timeline intact. So in order for us to fully understand this, we need to look at Eobard Thawne's timeline in comparison to the normal chronological timeline. To simplify it, I've broken down Eobard Thawne's life into 4 trips. Firstly, we know Eobard Thawne was born in the future. If we assume that episode 11 is the present, the trip marked 1 was when Eobard Thawne travelled back in time to the events of episode 11 of season 2. This is when he first discovered what time period the Flash was from. The trip marked 2 was when Barry helped him get back to the future. The third trip was when he came back even further in time to try and kill Barry as a youngster, and ended up killing his mother. As we know, he got stranded in this time, leading to his death, which I've indicated as trip 4. And so we can see that when we meet Eobard Thawne in episode 11, he's actually only undergone the first trip. Thus, he's in the past of his timeline. Although when you look at it chronologically, it appears that he is alive after he died. But this is not the case. This is the past of Eobard Thawne's timeline as illustrated here. So a timeline remnant can exist only if you are a speedster and protected by the Speed Force, and if that speedster is already dead, you can only exist in the past of that speedster's timeline. So the timeline remnant of Thawne is actually from the past of his timeline before he was killed. So it's not the chronological timeline in terms of years, but the timeline of Thawne's life. In fact, it was explained that this was always part of how Thawne found out which time period the Flash was from and about Dr. Wells, which is why when he got stuck in the past after killing Barry's mom, he chose to steal Wells' identity because he knew that he would be someone that Barry would trust. So Thawne's timeline, his timeline, remained intact as it always was. So Thawne's death in last season's season finale is the end of his timeline. However, because he's a speedster and jumps back and forth in time, it is possible that he can show up in the past or in the future, but he can only exist in the past of his timeline. And as I said, we know that Zoom has been able to travel through time. As he said, he went to the past to locate one of his timeline remnants. Now remember that the 2 requirements for a timeline remnant is that it must be a speedster preserved by the Speed Force, and if the speedster is dead, you can only have a time remnant from that speedster's past in his timeline. However, if the speedster is still alive in the future, it's possible to run into time remnants from the future as well. So while Zoom says he went to the past to locate his time remnant, it's more likely that his time remnant is actually his future self from his timeline. Because if he had killed himself from the past of his timeline, he would cease to exist. So if the show is going to be consistent and Zoom is still alive here in the present, the timeline remnant that he killed must have been from the future of his timeline. Otherwise, he would not exist. Similar to how the timeline remnant of the Reverse Flash only existed because he was actually the past version of himself preserved by the Speed Force. So when Zoom says he went in the past and found a time remnant, he means that chronologically that time remnant is in the past. However, in terms of the timeline of Hunter Zolomon, it must be his future self. And I think Hunter Zolomon may still be playing games with Team Flash, and this explanation may not be the full explanation, or at least certainly isn't the full truth. And I wonder if the show will explore the consequences on the time continuum. For example, when the Reverse Flash's past time remnant didn't continue on the same timeline, Cisco almost died. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it and then share it. I post lots of videos every week on comic book, movies, TV, including Star Wars, Game of Thrones, and other blockbusters, so why not subscribe? Thanks again. Cheers for now.